So hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you another game of Mordheim. I do have games of Warhammer Fantasy that are coming up, as well as a number of other videos. Convert this episodes, as well as some other discussion and analysis. But also Warhammer Fantasy bat reps. But this is, the group I'm with is really in kind of the mode with Mordheim right now. We have a lot more people that are joining in, and we have some restrictions in terms of how many games we play throughout each week. We're trying to limit it to 3 games per week, and we're also trying to institute where you play different people, so you don't play all one-on-one the same person every game, and then the two of you kind of ping-pong and boost each other up. So we have a few people that are kind of waiting in the wings. They haven't gotten any games yet, and others that have joined in the series of games that I've already got recorded. So this is the next game with the Dwarves against the Possessed. This is one of the armies that was in the Battle of 5 Warbands, which we initially kicked off with. And so this is like a mutated army, chaos infused. They've got a lot of some chaos magic and certain things like one guy has a scorpion tail, one guy's got spikes that does hits while you're in hand-to-hand, while you're in close combat with him. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. He has a larger warband than me. So he set up this board, and it was kind of appropriate because we rolled up a random scenario, and this was a scenario called Defend the Find, and the lowest model count stays in the center and has to be within, I guess, 6 or 8 inches of the center point, which ironically was this like fountain in the center area here. And although there's fields of fire all over the place, and I've got defended position, he doesn't have any shooting. The Possessed doesn't have any shooting. I think maybe just his leader has shooting. So I thought I was in a great position, but then he's looking at all these hand-to-hand guys, and there's a lot of cover for him to hide as he moves up. So that's a difficulty, but while it being a challenge, it still puts me in a good defended position. But the way the scenario works is that if I rout him, of course I win. The only way that for me to lose is to rout. He can opt to rout if he wishes to. If he feels he's taken too many losses and leave. I can't. But that makes sense because I'm Dwarves. Dwarves are stubborn. So things that I've updated with my with the improvements that I've made with my warband, both my troll slayers and I believe my noble as well had leveled up, and I've gotten some additional equipment. So, but I got him a lucky charm and a rabbit's foot. One of them will help you if you don't use it for exploration at the end of the game. I also forgot that one. And but my troll slayer did improve since the last game. He's got actually both of them have. One of them increased his initiative, which is phenomenal because dwarf initiative sucks. And so he has a +1 initiative. Then he had a bunch of some more experience. So he's actually ready practically to level up if I can do well with him in this game. And then the other troll slayer has a +1 weapon skill, and that's big too because these are combat specialists. They're not meant to do any shooting. I don't even know if they have the option to do any shooting, but unfortunately they also can't wear any armor. They're troll slayers. So the fact that one improved his initiative wasn't great, but it'll help him in successive turns because after the first turn where you automatically get to go first on a charge, it goes to initiative, and having an initiative 3 will certainly be a big boon. But the second one, having now a higher weapon skill, just means that it'll be easier for him to hit. So I got an extra thunder, and I paid for the cost, and I still have a good deal of gold left. My Beardling also leveled up on the last game. He now has a leadership of 9. So everybody has a leadership of 9, which means it doesn't really help my leader's ability to extend his leadership within 6 inches. The only guys that matters is the Beardling, who had an 8. So now everybody's got a 9. So if I ever get a level up and my leadership goes to a 10, that will have a benefit. Right now it's kind of a wasted ability. So there's my level ups, and there's some of my enhancements. I got some additional equipment. My noble has now a pistol, so he's pretty well decked out. Light armor shield, a pistol, and he's got a dwarf axe. And I've got double dwarf axes on the troll slayers, and now I've got a lot of shooting. And I'm sure he's got to assault me. He's going to have to try and drive me out of here. So I need to be able to try and pick cut him before he actually gets to me. So the Possessed then deploy, and he has a bunch of henchmen. They have clubs or some with shields, some with more than one weapon. A bunch have a weapon and a dagger. And the dagger is not a great weapon. It's free. It actually adds to your armor save because it's such a weak weapon that it actually helps you, but it gives you an extra die roll. And in this game, it's all about the dice. You want to throw more dice at anything you can. So he deploys as follows. He's got an unpainted guy behind a rock. That's his leader. He's got a couple of characters sprinkled throughout here. I think he's got like 4 or 5 characters total, and I've only got 3 because I can only get 4 at this point, and I need and I don't have my engineer, and I haven't been able to pay for him. So he hides a couple guys underneath buildings and behind various structures, and he doesn't have any shooting. His leader is the only guy who has, I guess, a pistol, and he doesn't want to expose him. He doesn't want to take any risk because I have a lot of shooting, and I could pick him off pretty easily. He then starts fanning out and moving. You can see all those dice. Again, those dice denote when somebody's hiding. So typically what you do is you do a regular move, and if you're behind any kind of obstacle, behind a tree, behind a hedge, behind any little rock, apparently, if it covers up to your ankles, that character can be considered in hiding. And that means you can't shoot that character or charge unless, one, you're within initiative range, in which case you can make a roll, which really sucks for dwarves, or if you have an ability that extends that, or if you have a character that kind of breaks that 180-degree plane wherever the obstacle is. So if it's one of those hedgerow lines, I need to have somebody that's on the other side of that hedgerow that could see where the guy's hiding and go, oh, there he is, call out to his friends, and then I can start shooting that guy. But as you can see, I'm kind of far away, and dwarves don't move very fast. So I reposition my guys, and I want to try to start moving some of my shooters up on that platform there. And I can just fit them there. And this is about 3 inches up, and I can move up there, but I have to make an initiative test. If I fail it, I fall, and I can take damage. And if I want to come off, actually, if I fail it, I fail to climb up. But if I want to come off of there, I got to jump off, and you're going to make an initiative test, otherwise you fall, and you can take damage. So this is a risk, but I want to get my shooters up there so I can kind of snipe these guys as they move in. So I managed to get one of them up, and I'm repositioning everybody else. As you see, from left to right, I've got one of the Ballistic Seal 4 Thunderers, the new green Thunderers, the one that's unpainted with the pistol. The painted one after that with a brace of pistols is actually a Troll Slayer. I haven't got a new model yet for my Troll Slayers, but I have them coming, and I'm going to paint them up and add them to the Warband. So that's one of my Troll Slayers. And then I have the Beardling. He's the guy with the 2 weapons. He's got actually an axe and a hammer, but he's a Beardling. He's got low stats, and he's just fodder. I'm just going to throw him out there in front of anything that charges and hope to block it. And then I have my my Dwarf Noble, and he's pretty well decked out. He's only got light armor and a shield, but that gives him a pretty decent save. It's mitigated by a lot of weapons and a lot of higher strength attacks, but it's something. And I've got parries. I've got a dwarf axe on him. He's fairly sturdy. And then I have another Thunder with the weapon skill 4. I've got obviously the Thunder that's now up on the perch, and then I have another Troll Slayer. So I've got a spread of hand-to-hand and shooting all throughout, and they've moved back so that I've got more time before he gets in on me. So the possessed start moving up, and now they move out from behind the rocks and move into where the hedges are. And of course, this is not the kind of game where as soon as you expose yourself to fire, you can shoot. You get the run, and then you duck down and hide, and you have to wait till your turn and see if you can see that person. So it doesn't have rules like Infinity. So now I roll, my turn comes around and I roll to get more guys up on that perch. Now I got 3 snipers sitting up on this perch. And so I reposition my guys a little bit more. I'm still out of range, and I still have, everybody he has is still hiding. But now I have guys that are pretty much untouchable in hand-to-hand combat and can just shoot as he moves in. And finally, this is like, the Alamo or that movie, like Zulu Nation or Zulu or whatever. Just now I've got a swarm of enemies coming at me at my defensive position. And he's got to do it. He's got to do it eventually. He doesn't send his leader out, though. His leader's still hiding behind that rock. I think he wants to try and whittle me down before he risks his leader, which is a pretty common tactic in Mordheim. Send out your fodder, reduce your opponents and foes, and then have your big character or characters come in, clean up, and get some extra experience. So he moves in. None of these were charges, but he's right up in front of me, and now I'm just going to have to hope that I can do some damage. So my turn comes, and I charge both Slayers on the slide. I want to kind of converge and collapse them into a center, so that just to maybe not let him get behind me. where I've got to start changing. Maybe if I don't want to create a situation where my Thunders have to move and shoot. Right now, I can see just about anything on the board with at least 2 of them on either of these angles. I don't charge the green, the brand new Thunder, because he's a shooter, and I don't charge my Noble because he's got a pistol, so I can take advantage of his higher ballistic skill. So the one Thunder knocks one henchman out of range, and this is one from the sniper perch. And I only knocked down another one with one of my other Thunders, and then the Slayer stuns one of the other ones, the one that he had charged. And the way this works is, of course, just like Warhammer Fantasy, you can't shoot into combat. But the way you denote the difference between stun and knock down is if you stun somebody, you face them down when you turn them over. But when they can recover over time, unless they've gotten hit again or unless they're stunned again. So if they haven't been hit, then you just turn them face up, and now they're just knocked down, and then their turn they can stand up. Now when they stand up, they automatically strike last in the combat. So there are, it takes a while once you've been knocked down or stunned to return. One of the benefits of being a dwarf is you have a little bit better of a chart. It's a little bit harder, and as you level up, guys can take abilities that make it even harder for this to happen. So my other Slayer wounds one of his characters, and not only is able to wound him, but knocks him out of action. So if you roll a 6, for example, on the wound, it's a critical, and if you roll, I think it's a 5 or 6, you knock the guy out of action automatically. Otherwise, the standard is usually 1 to 2, you're knocked down, 3 to 4, you're stunned. So Possessed, the guy that was knocked down gets up, and the other one that he has that was in that area then charges the Slayer. So he's trying to overwhelm the Slayer. So he's got one of his guys that was stunned, now has been flipped up. He's only knocked down. He's going to be able to get up next turn. And then one that's going to be able to strike, but strike last. And then one that's charged me, so he's going to get first beat on me. And then he has the Green Thunder, the brand new Thunder that I just purchased now has also been charged. And now I'm double teamed by my Noble. He's got one guy that kind of charges in who is a hero. He's got these spikes, so everybody in base to base takes like a strength 3 or strength 2 rather hit, which is nice because anybody that I bring in to help my Noble is now going to take that. So it's a lot of rolls. And then one of his heroes hits my Noble, but he doesn't wound him. He just knocks him. He just knocks him down. And I believe that there was a follow-up to this and actually moved me to being stunned. So this is not a good thing because I need to get some help in here. Otherwise, I could be losing my Noble. So my turn, my dwarves swarm back. I swarm everybody I can into the 2 characters that are, I think this might be a henchman and one of his characters that are standing around my Noble. My Noble does recover 1 spot, so from being stunned, he's now just knocked down, but he can't get into the fight yet. So I charge the Beardling and one of my Slayers into that fight, and then I charge my Slayer from up top into one of his, either his henchmen or one of his 3 or 4 characters. And one Thunder tries to get into the fray. He tries to jump down and join with the brand new Thunderer to try and help him out. Look, I'm charging. I'm going to get a first attack. I need to try and aid him. I think this was in the previous turn. This would turn out to just be inconsequential, no hits or wounds, and that's one of the benefits of having toughness 4. But I fail my initiative test. I don't take any damage, but that's the end of this guy's turn. He just falls down. And then his hero, I managed to knock him down with the Beardling and the Slayer, and I believe that my just knocked down Noble then got turned again to stunned because the other character that was in base-to-base contact was still able to attack him, but thankfully he's not knocked out of action. The henchman versus the Slayer on the right is knocked down, and the other one recovers from stun. So again, he's turned from face down to face up, but he's still on the ground. And then the Green Thunderer, as much as I wanted to try and help him, he got stunned, so he's now face down. And that's not very good. I mean, because if I don't get any help on that Green Thunderer, the next turn he's pretty much going to almost guarantee to be knocked out of action. I think what happens is if you're stunned, all you need to do is allocate an attack against you, and you're taken out of action. So his leader then comes up, and I believe that must have been what happened. I think I can see that Green Thunder that brand new Thunder is no longer there, so he must have been taken out of action. But now he moves his leader up, the Possessed, and that's pretty dangerous. Now he's got the ability to shoot, but he had to do a full run to get here. My Slayer on the right is charged by another guy, so he's kind of getting like triple teamed here. And in the combat, he doesn't take any damage, he doesn't take any wounds, but he's able to stun one in return. So I think that's the weapon skill 5 Slayer. So that really kind of helps. But then he stunned himself by I think the guy who actually stood up. And he's down. That's a problem because he's got 2 guys against him. So there's something I got to do to help that. Otherwise, I'm going to lose that Slayer. So the Slayer on the left manages to again stun his hero. And my noble finally is able to recover, and he's able to stand up and get back into the fight. He had recovered previously from being stunned to being knocked down. Now he stands up and he's able to drop one of the attackers, and the Slayer and the Thunder then force him out. So this was really good turnaround where things were looking a little bit bad. At the end of this combat, he's lost basically both of these guys who are threatening to finish off my Dwarf Noble. My Troll Slayer on the far right is finally taken out of action. There's not much you can do about that. He was getting triple teamed. He hung in there for as long as he could, but it was just too many turns and too much dice rolling. So his leader then charges into my noble, and I guess this is the point in time where he's just going to go all in. He did his initial charge. He probably should have brought his noble up as well, but he was worried about the possibilities of him getting sniped. And there's one ability that I didn't know about, but it was fortuitous that I put these guys up on this perch. If you have a screen of opponents in front of you, and then they have the heroes behind them, you can't opt to shoot at the guys behind them. You can't opt to charge the guys behind them. You got to charge what's in front of you. They actually have this ability where they can screen. I believe you can't. I don't know if it's the same thing for charging, but I know for shooting. If you have elevation, however, you can pick and choose. So I think he was worried that if he screened with all his fodder, I would snipe with 2 or 3 of these thunders. So he then casts a spell, and spells are not as debilitating and crazy in this game. They can be effective, but you have to you have to roll past a certain level. This was rolling a 7. He rolled his 7, and this was something called Word of Pain. And what it does is it's a strength 3 hit, no armor saves, against everybody within 3 inches, friend and foe, except for the caster. So this hits everybody except for the Thunder on the far left, the one that's on the perch. So you can see a lot of people took hits, got stunned, or were knocked down, and ultimately this hurts him more than it hurts me, because I didn't take any severe wounds. I had one guy that was knocked down, and everybody else, he had almost everybody else that was either stunned or knocked out. I don't think that he had anybody taken out of action, but this gives me a lot of benefits because it's going to prevent him from getting all these guys into combat and swarming me. And then I can start picking them off with some thunder shots. So my thunders aim at those that are not in close combat, and I take off, I believe, 1, and I also I stun another. My noble and my slayer charge those that were on the ground, and that's huge because they walked in, got basically automatic hits, and I finish one off. I take one off out of action, and with my slayer, and then I knock out the other one with my noble, and that's experience points. You don't get bonus experience points with henchmen that take people out, but your characters do. So you want your characters to do the coup de grace. His leader then follows up and goes for broke and charges my noble. His last remaining henchman dives in as well to try and finish me off. And at this point, he could have routed. He rolled and passed. He could have easily routed maybe a couple of turns ago. I passed my test, but because I think I might have had 2 guys knocked out at this point. So I didn't need to route. He had the option of routing. He could have basically picked up everybody and left, but he wouldn't have gotten any of the benefits of the scenario. So at this point, it behooves him to try and just, I guess, go for broke. And he did, but my dwarf noble takes out his leader in the process. So I weathered his attacks, and when I struck back, I got a critical, and then I rolled a 5 or a 6. So the close combat that in the next turn, with his his last remaining henchman, and he does have one more henchman that was stunned. That's on the other side of the wall. His down henchman goes from stunned to just knocked down, so he's able to then get up and possibly get back in the fight next turn. None of us, his henchman and my noble, we don't hurt each other. And then when it's my turn, my thunder takes the henchman that was knocked down, and he takes him out of action. So he's now down to his one last guy, and my noble finally finishes him off. So that turns out to be the game. So the aftermath of the game, this is the final board. I get another Thunderer. My Slayers, one of my Slayers, or both of them, I believe, level up. So one of my Slayers gets a +1 to his initiative again. So now I have a Dwarf hand-to-hand combat specialist with an initiative 4, which is huge. That is phenomenal. I love that fact, because if I charge, I get the first attack automatically. As long as he's not charged, any follow-up actions, I've got a better initiative than most of the characters that are out there. Certainly most of the henchmen. Unless somebody's gotten also that initiative bump, I should be able to go first. And Troll Slayers are really behemoths in hand-to-hand combat. So other benefits that I have, I was able to improve some of my equipment. I'm not spending a ton of money, again, on the equipment. I got a bunch of warp stones, so I've got some additional gold, and I bought a couple of Lucky Charms and Rabbit's Feet just to try and spread around, so that all my characters have the ability to get like a reroll, or a reroll, or ignore the first hit that is done against them. So the Warband is coming around. And one of the Slayers was able to get a brand new skill, and that new skill was Mighty Blow. So with all the extra kills, knocking out of action that you do with a hero, you get to get more experience points. So that leveled up one of the Troll Slayers to then get and Mighty Blow is that he has +1 strength in hand-to-hand combat, which is great. The Noble also levels up, and he's got an ability called Step Aside, which is essentially like a 5-up ward. He's got his armor, which is 5-up, but that can be mitigated by higher strength attacks. But now he's got an ability where he's just, I guess, a nimble dwarf, and he can pop out of any shots or damaging hits that are done against him. And that's great, because I really want my dwarf, all the points that I've invested, equipment and otherwise, I want to make this guy as tough as possible. I mean, come on, he's the leader of my warband. He should be the sturdiest and toughest of any of these guys. We're having a really great time with the Mordheim. We have about 8 or 9 people that are jazzed about it and have different types of warbands. And there's a really good range of warbands. So we're able to get games with a lot of different types of abilities. Some are very hand-to-hand specialists. Some are very long-range specialists. I'm trying to make mine a little bit of each. A little mix of each, because I know that dwarves can be really good with their shooting, but I'm going to get into combat, and people are going to charge and close with me. And these are smaller boards than Warhammer Fantasy. You're going to wind up in hand-to-hand. You need to be able to kind of match, or at least be able to stand in. And dwarves starting off with that toughness 4 has been a huge boon. Even though I lost my engineer, and I still have not been able to make the roll to be able to pay to restore him, my guys are starting to not only get further painted up, but they're also starting to get a little bit more uber, and we'll see how that turns out in future games. Hope you're enjoying this, and have a great day, everybody.